Hey y'all, this is Jessie with the Two Sticks and String podcast. I am so happy you are here to join me today. Please ignore the chaos. In my background, I have some kitties that are being anxious and wanting to get on everything, as evidenced here. This is Bella. Ow. And I also am in the process of trying to organize kits and things, and I have some new ideas that I'm going to do for the podcast. So I needed some of these things out for accessibility, and I was just too lazy to put them away before starting because I'm going to need some of these things later. You'll see why. So first off, this is a podcast all about cross stitch, knitting, crochet, cats, and Kpop. If any of those things are of your interest, welcome to the madness and the chaos. If it's not, that's okay. Not a problem. I know that there are lots of podcasts out there for everyone, and I hope that you find someone that gels with you. And no ill will, not a problem. If you want to get in touch with me, you can find me on Instagram at Army Wife Knitting Life and Army Wife Knit Life on Ravelry. We also have a Ravelry group. It has been kind of dead other than the cowl this past year. You can see Bella's being wild and crazy. I'm so sorry. But it is Two Sticks and String. Just look for Pachola the Owl. You see her at the beginning of every single podcast that I do. If you find her, you'll know you're in the right spot. I'm a podcast coming to you from Georgia. I am an Army wife, and I've been around the world. I've been podcasting for many years at this point, although not the most regularly. I always say I'm aiming to change that, but I'm hoping that by implementing some of the things I'm going to implement this episode, that I can actually hold up my end of the bargain and have a regular podcast again, because I do miss it a lot. So let's get started, shall we? First off, since we're kind of doing a reintroduction, as I said, my name is Jessica. Hi, I'm 33, Army wife, based in Georgia for right now. I have 3 cats. You've seen Bella. There's also an all-black cat named Berlin and their little sister, Maki. I'm sure you'll see at least another one of them throughout one of these episodes, and they're adorable. They're also all over my Instagram because I'm a crazy cat lady. I don't have any children. Crafting and cats are my true love. I love to travel. I like to read. History is my favorite thing ever. And I enjoy learning languages. So what taught me my crafts, though, I guess is something a lot of people like to know. I first started to learn to knit when I was 12, 13. And I did it for like a couple of months, and then I put it away, didn't think about it again until I turned 20, and I was dating my now husband. And I wanted to make him a blanket because he was going to be going to an Army school called Bullock. And I needed to keep entertained and keep busy. So she volunteered to teach me how to crochet, and it was rough. I wanted to make a blanket for him, and I said, I'm going to do this in strips, and then I'll sew all the strips together. That way the project is more portable. I've learned that I struggle to count in crochet, and so some stripes started off this big and ended up this big, and I had others that did this shape through it, and I had some that started here and went here, others that went here. It was messy. It did not go well. And eventually I could do a few things crochet wise after a while. It was after I got married, though. Also, I've been married for 11 years at this point. That's just good for you to know, I guess, to gauge this time frame. And so I made like mermaid tails. I had done the breastfeeding hats that look like an actual breast. I don't know if the algorithm will block me for that word. I apologize in advance. It is a medical term, y'all. an official medical term. So if they have a problem with it, I'm going to appeal it. I'd done a lot of those. I tried one amigurumi stuffy. Never again. And then I found my happy spot making hats with crochet. And then I got a loom, and so I wanted to loom knit a bunch of hats. And I said, if I'm doing this, I might as well learn how to knit. And ever since then, knitting was my love, my passion. I adored it. Socks are one of the things I've knit the most of. Not one of the things. They are the thing I have knit the most of. I've knit over 100 pairs at this point easily. Probably closer to 200, honestly. However, when we were stationed in Germany, I started to fall in love with the idea of cross stitch because it was a project that was super portable and would keep you entertained for a long time. And that was nice because when we moved to Germany, I was without my stuff for 3+ months. And so I had to pack a lot of yarn to keep me occupied while waiting for everything. And I very nearly ran out of yarn. Thankfully, I met some friends and we went to Aldi and some local yarn stores in the area that we were stationed in. And we also went to Edeka and I found sock yarn there, Regia sock yarn, which is super cheap in Europe, not cheap here. And it was very stressful to know that the thing that was keeping me busy and sane while waiting for my stuff, I was running out of. And it took a lot of space to bring it over to the States, over to Germany. So I wanted to learn a craft that was a little more space conscious. And so I started to look at cross stitch and I fell in love with frosted pumpkin stitchery. Still one of my ultimate favorites. And I found some things on Etsy that I like. And that's kind of my main craft now. I never thought I would say that, but it is. Mostly because I still love knitting. And I do still crochet some things. Normally, if I'm crocheting, it's a corner to corner blanket. But as I said, the things I like to knit are socks and garments. I don't need any more socks, and neither do any of my friends. They've all gotten boxes of socks from me before. And garments, I am currently on a weight loss journey. And so I don't want to knit a garment for this size when by the time I'm able to wear it, hopefully I'll be a size or two smaller. So I don't want to put the time into knitting something that's not going to fit properly by the time it's time for me to wear it. I hope that makes sense. I have no problem with knitting for the body you have now. I just know that I'm in Georgia and sweater wearing season is very small. And I want to be able to wear my sweaters and have them fit properly. That's my thing. So right now I do a lot of cross stitch and I love it. It's fun. I did some great stuff last year. Of the 3 podcasts I did last year, one of them was my plans for my crafting. I did not make most of those plans, y'all. I did finish my BTS cross stitch. It was after BTS was finished their enlisted time in the army. I'll get to that in a little bit in the chatter section. But I did finish it. And I did start and finish 4 other projects last year. So I got that part of my goal done. But that was it. I did not really touch my full coverages after April. And I worked on very few projects. I ended up doing a whole seagull for my grandfather. That was his Christmas present. It was lovely. I will put a picture probably here. And there's a fun story behind it. I've shown it on the podcast last year, but if I don't post a picture, it's because there was indeed one in the last episode I recorded of the finished project. And I also did nutcrackers, ornaments, which I will definitely 100% put a picture here. for you to see. They're for my babcha, my ma, my grandmother. They were her Christmas present this year, and I saw them when I was in Orlando with my mother in November, right before I had surgery on my leg. And we were going to Disney to do one last hurrah with big walking. And then I came back 3 days later. I had surgery on my leg to remove a large cyst that was approximately the size of a golf ball. And I wasn't able to walk around a lot afterwards. So I had a lot of stitching time. And that's what I did, is I made those ornaments for her after I found them at the store in Orlando. So that's kind of my crafting history. As I said, I prefer more cutesy and detailed kawaii type projects. Samplers are not my jam. Anything rustic or primitive, not for me. I like to watch other people stitch them. They're just not for me. So again, Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I like Satsuma Street. Those are just two of the major ones that I can think of that I really enjoy, to kind of give you an idea of my style of stitching. I do have a few works in progress of crochet and cross stitching to show you. But again, my cat is driving me crazy. So we're going to do the crochet first. Typically, I would tell you what this yarn is. However, it is from a place that I do not support shopping at. It was a gift, so I'm using it. But again, I don't support shopping there, so not going to tell you the name of the yarn and give them business. But this is just a basic corner to corner. It's going to be a baby blanket. I like to make my baby blankets larger because so many people give like stroller size or crib sized, and then they grow out of it and they can't use it anymore. And I figure if I'm going to put the time in on a project, I would want to make it something that they can use for at least a couple years. And it's big enough that when they're older, they can still carry it around and use it as like a levy. So that's this bag over here. And then the next one that I'm working on, also gifted from yarn from a place that I don't shop at, is this one, which is another baby blanket or lap blanket. And it's going to have a neon pink border around it eventually, because it was supposed to be a Valentine's Day thing. I just don't think it's Valentine's Day enough. So again, corner to corner. The last one I used a K hook. This is an H. It's funny because they're the same yarn brand, same yarn weight. Different hooks because their thickness is very different. Right, that's the only crochet I've got. I have no knitting. So all that's left is 2 cross stitch projects, and then we're going to discuss kind of what I'm going to do for the rest of, for February coming up. So this is a Frosted Pumpkin Studio Zodiac Chinese New Year, I think it was called. And this is where I'm at. I'm working my way slowly. This is all called for colors, and I'm stitching on 14 count Aida Picture This Plus Sand. As I said, all called for because I bought the kit from Frosted Pumpkin when they released it originally. I think the TARDIS needle minder is from Kim's Needle Minders. And then I'm working on the Year of the Tiger right here. I'm going to finish my animals, and then I'll start doing the little red circle around it, and then I'll add on to the fans. I'm really enjoying working on this, and since the Lunar New Year is coming up starting February 17th, I thought this would be kind of appropriate to work on right now. The other work in progress that I have is in this bag from Lake Wind Studio. It's fantastic. I'll show you. That's what the inside of it looks like. It's just Christmas cookies and super cute. And this is going to be Dancer, I believe. Yeah, Dancer from Barbara Ann Studio. And that's where I'm at. This is on Barefoot Needle Art fabric. Dyer is Seraphim. Color is French Blue. And it's a 16 count Aida. the needle minders from Frosted Pumpkin, which is a needle runs through it, makes it. It's sold through the Frosted Pumpkin site. And all called for colors, as I said. I have to finish up some of these buildings up here, add their roofs, add the snow, and then I believe I have some drops here to do and a little bit of back stitching for the keys and the lantern. And I'll be done. So it's really not a lot. It sounds like a lot, but it's maybe a couple hundred stitches left. I just haven't quite finished it yet. So now is when I'm going to tell you about kind of what my plan is for crafting, because my big fear is I'm not going to have enough to show you because I'm a slow stitcher. I'm a fast knitter, really slow at cross stitching. I'm getting better, but still slow. So I want to make sure I have enough to show you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 5 pieces I work on in a month is the goal. If something else squeaks its way in there, that's fine, not a problem. So 1 full coverage a month. I currently have 2. I have a Haid 12 Days of Christmas, which is Hannah Lynn Designs, and I have Lord Libidin's original Gen 1 151 Pokemon. I'm going to be working on at least 1 Frosted Pumpkin Studios project. At least 1. I'm also going to have 1 seasonal project, whether that's a Christmas one right now, whether it's Halloween, I don't know. I don't care. Just something that's like festive and for one of the holidays. And again, that could end up being another Frosted Pumpkin because I do have a lot of them. In fact, when I moved here last year, oh goodness, it was the summer before that. I've been here 2 summers now. Well, I've been here for 1 whole summer and half of another one. This is crazy. We moved here in June of 2024 and it just blew my mind. I'm so sorry. I'm processing this in real time and I'm not going to edit it out. But they had run a Halloween sale where they did like a whole bundle for all of their Halloween patterns. I got it. So I have a lot of patterns to work through. So it might be one of those. It might be any other seasonal ones. We'll see. I'm going to figure it out. I'm also going to have 1 small project, and I'm going to have alternating months, 1 from a whip wheel and 1 that's a new start wheel. So this month, what my plan is that all of the even numbered months, so February, April, June, August, October, December, are going to be a new start month. And I have a wheel for that. And then I also will have a wheel in March for one of my whips that I haven't been working on in this last month's rotation. So I can tell you that this is going to be my seasonal one for right now because Lunar New Year is coming up in February. This is appropriate for Lunar New Year. So that's my seasonal. We're going to spin to see which of my full coverage ones we're working on, and we're going to spin to see what new start I have. I can also probably tell you my small is going to be a BT21 Mong, which again, I will show you. It's going to be a new start. It needs to get started because I'll tell you in live chatter. It's exciting though, so stick around. So with that said, let's do our 2 wheel spins. First is going to be full coverage. So it'll be either, again, the 12 Days of Christmas or it'll be the Pokemon. So here's my wheel. We're going to spin it a couple times. Let it spin. All right, we are working on Pokemon for February. Now, it's not going to be crazy insane progress. It's just going to be, my ultimate goal is to work on one of these themed projects each week and then have my full coverage be the other project that I work on in the week. That way I can ensure that they have at least a few days worth of progress in them when I show them to you. So Pokemon is full coverage for next month. And then the other wheel we are going to do is my new starts. And I'm going to read these options to you just so you can know what I can possibly get. But we have Cookies for Santa, Christmas Sampler, Cozy Cafe Club, Midnight Way, Mysterious Halloween Town, Christmas on Gingerbread Lane, Storytime Sampler, Red Riding Hood, Halloween Spooky Sampler, Vote As If, Cookies for Easter, and Animal Almanac. I'm only starting 6 of these this year. So this wheel is going to take me at least 2 years to get through. That's not to say that these are the only patterns that I have that I can have new starts on. But these are ones that I have fabric set aside for and floss picked out. It just needs to be bobbinated. So here's the wheel. And obviously the other wheel, it's never going to black out an option because there's only the 2 full coverages to work from. This one, once it's called and spun, it's off of the wheel until the wheel is done. So let's see what it is. All right, we're going to start Storytime Sampler. So what I will do is I will find that I will take pictures and insert the professional like finished photo of it like here, and I will make sure that on my Instagram I update with post of what I'm going to do. It'll probably be a couple days after I upload the episode, probably on February 1st, so that people can see what I'm working on and see my progress. So I hope to see you there. Again, my Instagram is Army Wife Knitting Life. And if you want to follow my TikTok for whatever reason, that's Jessie Can Do It Too, Jessi Can Do It Too. That's where I'm going to be posting more of my like weight loss stuff, some of my travel stuff. I try to keep my Instagram as like, it's travel too, but more crafting and cats and personal stuff, whereas TikTok has a little bit more of a focus behind it. So life chatter. The exciting thing is I'm going to go see BTS in concert. I am so excited. My friend was able to get tickets for us to go to Day One Chicago. And I'm so excited. So the Hmong that I'm going to be working on is for her. And if you don't know what Hmong looks like, this is him. He's now a squirrel. This blue horse face is a mask that he wears in the beginning of the anime and beginning of the history of the character because he's too shy and insecure. And as he's gained his confidence, he's now taken the mask off and allows himself to be who he is. And he's really a purple squirrel / chipmunk. I think he's officially a chipmunk. I'm not 100% on that, but he is the character that represents my friend's favorite member of BTS, her bias, J-Hope. And so since I'm going to be staying with her until we drive up to Chicago and she's going to be doing all the driving, she's getting a present. That's going to be her present. And I want it done sooner rather than later so that it can get finished all nicely and she can do with it what she wants. And I don't have to stress finish because stress stitching is never fun. I also have a little bit about BTS since it is also a discussion of Kpop. They're having a tour! Woohoo! Surprise! I bet you didn't know that based on the fact that I said I was already going to go to their concert. They have a new album coming out on March 20th. It's called Arirang, which, to my understanding, after speaking to some of my friends that are Korean, Arirang it doesn't have an exact translation in English. It's more of a feeling. And that feeling could be of longing, sorrow, or desire, deep felt desire. So like the idea of missing someone so much, even though you know that they're there, and if you reach out, you could be with them again, but you can't right now. Be it there's some reason that you can't reach out, like BTS was in the army, and when they're active duty army, they aren't able to just pop onto Weverse, which is the app that they use to talk to their fans. They can't just do that when they're enlisted. That's a big no-no. They can do it on like their breaks or with special permission, but just on the regular, it's not like they can go live and talk like they normally would if they weren't active duty. So they had this deep longing and desire for connection with their fans' army. And so that's kind of what everyone's kind of speculating that the album is going to be about. None of us know yet. As I said, doesn't come out until March 20th, and then they start their world tour the following month. I'm really excited. Really excited. Other life chatter. I just got back from Atlanta yesterday. I went with two of my friends and we hit two yarn stores, actually. We went to the Craftivist and we went to Needle Nook. Both stores are lovely. I have a strong preference for the Craftivist just because I like how they organize their yarn a little better. Everything is done by weight and within weight by color. So it's really easy to find things that'll work together instead of putting it all together by brand, which can be confusing sometimes. Or you just have to work a little harder to make it work. Whereas if it's just done by yarn weight, like, okay, this is DK and this is DK, this is what I'm going to do, instead of grabbing one from this side of Malabrigo and this side of Malabrigo, and you find out, oh no, this one's worsted and this one's fingering. So I like how they also just have a little more. And Needle Nook, again, perfectly nice shop. It just didn't have anything that wowed me. And the employees were kind once they started to talk to us. But we were in the store for at least 30 minutes and they didn't talk to us. They only spoke to each other for about the first 22 minutes. So, and like normally I don't mind. I'm not someone that typically needs help when shopping. I don't really have questions other than like if I'm looking for something very specific. But typically I'm a just wander around and when I see what I want, I'll grab it. But not everyone is like that. And I also sort of think it's a little rude to not even say hello to your customers as they walk in. That's all. It was a lovely shop otherwise, though. And they weren't mean by any means. They were just having a really deep conversation and they just didn't stop to talk to us. And that sometimes it happens. I'm not saying it's like that all the time. I'm not going to badmouth the store. I'm just sharing my experience. And I've also been to the Craftivist multiple times and it's very well organized, very well laid out. They also offer other crafts. They had little cross stitch kits with sassy sayings. They had some loom stuff. They had roving for if you wanted to spin. They had books about crafting and knitting, and it's great. I love the shop. It's also a bigger, more open space. It doesn't feel as crowded as Needle Nook does. But we went to those two stores. I did walk out with a skein of Ryan's yarn and a shawl pin from Needle Nook. And I walked out with a set of mini skeins and another full skein of sock yarn, both from Emma's Yarn. I'll show them as I cake them up because I'm not really a podcast that likes to do stash enhancement because I know I already struggle with when I see someone hold up what they're getting, then I want to buy it and I feel like I'm missing out if I don't have it. So I try to not do that on my podcast. So if you're looking for crazy hauls, not the place to be. I'm not going to be doing that unless it's like super crazy. I used to. I have since kind of stopped that. Or if it's something really, really special, then I might, but otherwise I try to avoid it. Other life chatter. Just in Atlanta, we also went to Rumi's, which is my favorite Persian restaurant. We went to the Puppetry Arts Museum, and it's really fascinating because it has a large part of the Jim Henson collection. So Sesame Street, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Fraggle Rock, the Muppets. You saw things from all of those things there. They also have puppets from around the world and just other pop culture puppets. So They have lamb chop. They have Salem Saberhagen from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. They have Pokey and Gumby. They have Pinocchio from the Guillermo del Toro version. They have puppets from China, from Thailand, from Vietnam, Africa. They have Punch and Judy puppets, if you know who they are. They're some of the original puppet shows in the UK. So, I mean, there's a lot of things there, and it's fascinating to see. And my friend Kaylin loves puppets. They are a pleasure for her. So, we had a good time. And then, what else did we do? We went to Kinokuniya, which is a Japanese bookstore. And we went to Super H Mart, which is an Asian market in Atlanta. We came out with some goodies, like cheesy ramen. We had banana cakes, which are my favorite Korean snack. Honey butter chips. We got soju. We got all of those like ice cream desserts that look like a fruit. We came home with some of those. We came home with ramyun, skincare masks, hand masks, all sorts of things. We went crazy in there. We had a great time. It was just for the weekend, and there was a snowstorm. We were in an Airbnb, and it was nice. We wish they had blankets because the thermostat kept resetting itself to 62 degrees after 2 hours of being bumped up. So it got a little cold sometimes. But again, we had a great time. I'm looking forward to going to Atlanta next month because the whole reason I'm supposed to go is to climb Stone Mountain when I go visit my husband in April to climb Zakopane. I know that sentence made no sense. Let me rephrase. My husband is overseas right now, and I'm going to go visit him when he has R&R. And we are going to go to Poland, which is a country where my family is from, has heritage there, and we are going to climb Zakopane, which is a mountain there. But in order for me to be able to do that, I am a fat woman, in case you couldn't tell. It's not a bad word, it's fine. It's just like saying I have blonde hair or blue eyes. It's just an adjective, has no negative connotation to it. So please don't clutch your pearls for me for saying about myself that I'm fat. It's okay, I promise. But in order for me to be able to do that, I need to practice. And so I'm going to go to Stone Mountain once a month and build up some of my endurance. That way I can do it and not hurt myself when I'm in Europe and exploring. So next month I'll be going there and actually climbing the mountain because I was supposed to do it this time, but there was a major ice storm. In case you haven't been following the news, most of the South has been hit by ice and snow and weather. That's not good for climbing mountains, especially for your first time. So I didn't get to do it this time, but we got to do other fun things. And I'm really excited to do it again in February. And I will be bringing my stitching with me. So I'll still have progress. Don't worry. This time I did bring cross stitching with me, but I was teaching my friend Kaylin how to cross stitch. And in order for me to be able to teach her a little more effectively and efficiently, I crocheted the whole time because I can put that down a lot easier than I can cross stitching. So that's kind of all I have for this time, and hopefully I will see you at the end of February with some great progress on the projects that I've pulled. And until then, do what makes your heart sing. For me, that's 2 sticks and string. See ya!